Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. It's November the 3rd, 2022. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. No, we're good. Wonderful. Another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today. If it's your first time here, welcome. Thank you for giving us a shot. We talk about video games, movies, television, a little bit of everything, really, these days. Whatever suits our fancy at the time. I'm glad you could join us. If you're catching us on the RSS feeds, thank you as well, or on YouTube if you're watching the videos so that you can see whether or not Jeff will stand on his chair again.
Did I stand on my chair?
You almost did 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, all right.
Almost did.
I must have been getting really worked up then.
Yeah, you get. It wasn't quite a stand. It was like a hands on the arms, like up in a lean kind of a situation. And I think if I remember correctly, I can't remember if it was
must have been the ad incentive stuff.
Must or ad incentive. Yeah, it's one of the two. Yeah. One of the two. There's only really two things to get you fired up these days.
That's it, man.
Overwatch and ad incentives. That's the show. That's the show. That's all there is to it. Another great show lined up for you today. And once again, glad you could join us. But before we get started, of course, get the most important question of the week. Mr. Black, how's your week?
It's been a week. Closed on the 4 properties. So that's done. I'm
wonderful.
The official owner now. So yeah, that was pretty much that.
So now you're waiting on 400 windows to arrive?
Yeah, 21 of them. And yeah, we have, man, we're doing some crazy amount of work, and we're doing it quick too. So we're residing all of the houses, all new front decks. The architect is all finished, drawings and stuff. They're just waiting for the permit to be approved, which is supposed to happen today. So I haven't even checked my email. So hopefully we get good word about that, and that's done. Yeah, there's just a bunch of shit. Obviously, new windows. The windows are going to take, I think they're going to be in all of them except for 2 that had to be customed, like 2 custom-sized windows. They're all going to be here, I think, in the next 2 weeks. So at some point this month. So that's going to get done. And we're just trying to get it all the exterior stuff done before the shit weather really starts hammering down. And fortunately, like, weather is still pretty fucking nice right now.
Incredible.
So, I think November, fingers crossed, will be a pretty mild November, and probably most of December will be mild as well. But you never know; it could turn on a dime. Who knows?
Well, mild still mean it just means rain instead of snow, right?
Oh, correct.
And so yeah, we've been extraordinarily lucky, as far as the weather goes, especially for any kind of outdoor work, has been amazing. Yeah, so our windows finally got put in.
Oh,
that
there
happened.
You go.
Depending on how fussy I want to be, they might have to do some fix-up work. They do have to come back because some of the foam work that they did around one of the windows didn't quite seal it up, so there's a small draft still coming through on one of them.
Bro, take once, I'm assuming it's all dry now. It usually only takes 24 hours, but
it's long since dry.
Yeah. Get a hose, man, and fucking spray the shit from every angle on all those windows you put in. Make sure there's no leaks.
Yeah. Make sure there's no air bubbles anywhere.
Do that.
Yep.
And I mean, spray it fucking good. Spray it up close, spray from the top, spray from the bottom, and then go on the inside, and then take a look to see if there's any stuff. And I mean, spray it for a while so that if there is any water buildup, you'll be able to see. Yeah, you'll be able to see. That's what I always do. And I've caught a few windows that were not properly installed, or at least not sealed correctly. And you're better off to do that now while it's fresh. And you're still committed to your business, opposed to 6 months, 9 months down the road where like you get some shit weather, especially now. We might not get a whole lot more rain over we could be getting snow here pretty soon, right? You'll just never know. So hit it hard.
Yeah, we know they at least installed them well, because I was there and Dad was there. We watched the entire fucking process. It's just, I think this one just didn't quite get foamed enough, so that will be easy enough. The only other problem was that on the patio door, whoever did the measurement for the door originally, because, you know, somebody comes in and does the measurement and then hands it off, and then there's like, first of all, I think of my experience with this so far, would be my takeaway is there's too many cooks in the kitchen with this shit, if you know what I mean. So like you call somebody up, it's your sales guy. Then you get the sales guy, puts together your order form or whatever, and they come out and they send another guy out. Another guy comes out, and that guy, his entire job is to measure all of the fucking windows and doors and whatever else that you got, write it into their book so that they can take it back and give you your quote. And then you get your quote back, and you're like, yay or nay, and you send that back off to them, and then eventually they send out right before, or supposedly right before, it didn't happen this time, they do a final measurement. So they send out another person to make damn sure that every window opening and door opening is exactly what the first person came in, as if they were some sort of fucking intern. And so they take all the fucking measurements again, and like, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is the exact same measurements. Nothing has changed here in the last 2 months. And then they come back again. And then eventually, millions of years in the future, they send people out to actually install this shit. And when they get out there, here's the problem with the patio door, was the guy that measured it, he did a real damn good job of measuring it. Mostly because Dad and I had already exposed most of, like, a good chunk of the frame, where the old door and 2 windows were located. So it wasn't like he was guessing, like, oh, we gotta find a stud, like a nail pop or screw pop, and then take a fucking stab at it. You could literally see the fucking frame. So he's just like, all right, so he measures it. And so it's bang on. So he sends that measurement off, and when they fabbed the unit, they were a little too precise. Like, you know, most of these things are shimmed into place, right? Like, most doors are not hard up against the fucking 2x6 or whatever else. Like, there's a good gap. Sometimes it's like, you know, 3/4 of an inch, you know, half an inch gap. No, this bitch didn't need a shim. This was tighter than hell. So tight, in fact, that they got the oscillator saw out, trying to fucking, like, make room for this bitch, and then one of the guys on the outside has got his boots going, wham! Wham! Kicking the corner of the fucking patio, my $2,500 patio door, to get it into this hole. And I was like, oh boys, please don't do this to me. Don't fuck this up.
Stop the madness, man.
Don't fuck this up. So anyway, they get it in. Any scuff marks that would have been on that corner are hidden because it's hidden well below, like, the face, you know, the finish work that they put on the outside. But on the inside, when they were taking the doors out, because the frame is separate from the doors, of course, and so when they were taking the doors out of the truck or putting them in, whoever did it, I don't know, because I wasn't there to watch them offload or whatever. It's like they were fucking grating cheese on that bitch. No. And so it is, when they were installed it, I noticed it was like, it had like some grease and shit on it. I was like, are you guys going to clean that up before you go? He's like, oh yeah, we're going to clean that up. So clean it up before, and they headed out, and it was like raining that day or whatever, so I just like got them out of there, because nothing I would have told them that day was going to change anything, because they're just the installers. I'm going to have to call somebody else. So all it's going to do is piss off the fucking installers, and honestly, they were both fucking smokers. I didn't want them in my house anymore anyway, because I'm going to have to take 3 weeks to air this bitch out, because all they were doing is fucking smoking cigarettes and throwing them in my driveway the entire time. So they get out of here, and the whole side of the fucking patio door, like the sliding part of the door on the inside, is just scratched to shit.
Oh, fuck.
On a $2,500 door. You have one job.
One.
I know it's difficult, don't get me wrong. A 7-foot wide fucking patio door with only 2 dudes in the rain? That's a shit job. I understand it. But how, of the one thing that you managed to fuck up, it was drag the fucking door on the truck bed before taking it out, is beyond me. So anyway, we have somebody coming to take a look at all this shit, and then they'll send somebody else out to assess the situation. Also, they fucked the caulking up on the outside of the patio door. So now I'm going to have this guy that comes check the caulking on every single window.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, bro.
Everything.
Yeah, because
the patio, the bottom of the patio, the caulking is broken on like 7-inch runs.
Nah, bro.
It's caved.
What the fuck they do?
How do you mess up caulking?
Yeah, dude, I can do caulking. All right.
Like it might look ugly, like it might not be pretty, but it's not difficult to fill the fucking gap along the bottom.
You can just you can cut out the shit. Like if it's not pretty, you can cut it out and be done with it. But like, how do you fuck that up?
It was damp outside. You could have held your thumb up to the fucking air for 3 seconds, got moist, and just gone woo right across the bottom.
Yeah, the love of God, Adam, please. Before they go there, get a fucking hose and hose down your back patio, the fucking windows. Spray that bitch to shit.
We will be very thorough because there is no shot that after all this money, the shitty thing is these windows are all amazing, right? It's just the installation lacking a little fucking finesse, right? So anyway, it's just fun. Like when it comes to installers, it's such a gamble. I mean, you would know this. You've probably experienced it. You're either going to get some dude who's been in here. There's 2 stereotypes I've run into. We got the latter here. So the former is some dude who takes his job very fucking seriously, right? He shows up exactly when they mean to show up. They are very upfront with you as to when something's going to go wrong or whatever. They only say about 3 words the entire time they're on site. They literally never speak. All they're doing is working. The job is done. They clean up after themselves. They shake your hand. They go, "Meh," and then they leave. That's that's category 1. Category 2.
You want. That's the category you want.
That's the category you want, for sure. And it doesn't have anything to do with age. Some people might be like, oh, the older guy's more experienced, whatever. Not necessarily always the case. Sometimes you get a young guy who's been trained really well, and they do a good job. But the second category, which is the category we got, are 2 guys who were, and Jeff would understand this joke, the 2 guys that were eyes of eyes and do's and don'ts and all that in between. And they never shut the fuck up. The whole time they're there, they're humming to themselves, they're singing to themselves, they're cursing out loud every time something's a little frustrating, like, oh, fuck, yeah. Like the whole fucking time, complaining about how they're like aches and pains. This man's like fucking 49 years old. Aches and pains, and I'm getting too old for this shit and all the other stuff. We got that version. and I said, nice guys. Like, no, as people, very nice. As installers, no. No. Do not want. No. And when they first showed up on the first day, I said, so what are you going to do tackle today, boys? Because this was the really nice day of the 2. It was Halloween. And so we had this amazing probably the nicest Halloween we had in 20 fucking years.
Oh, I haven't seen a nicer Halloween. Does it even get any better? Does it actually get any better?
No. When it's warm enough for shorts on Halloween night, it don't get any better. Normally it's like 6 degrees and pissing rain here, like clockwork every year. So this was a crazy, amazing day. So I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to do the patio door today because it's a 7-foot fucking wide hole in the wall and it's a pain in the ass. And so I said, you going to start with the fucking patio today, boys? And the older of the 2 guys said, nope, it's his first day on the job. And I went, oh.
Oh, no. Oh, I would have been, they would have just seen me do sign language all of a sudden. It would have went like this.
Time out.
Guys,
time out.
We need to take a time out real quick.
In fairness to the other guy, who was like younger, but he's probably like 37, 38 or whatever. In fairness to him, it's not that it was his first rodeo in construction at all. And I think he'd actually done some window installation before, because he didn't need, I was there the whole day, he didn't need a hell of a lot of instruction from this guy. Like, he was doing things relatively readily, and clearly had done most of his life. In fact, Dad talked to him. He just bought a fucking 200-year-old home out in the valley. He's redoing a bunch of the work himself. So he's not completely, it's not that he's necessarily incompetent, it's just that it was like his not first, but like 1.5 rodeo. Like he had sort of done this before, but not necessarily, you know, enough to just do it himself if the older guy wasn't there, right? So I was like, oh, cool. Great.
Guess we're gonna break you in.
There we go. Have fun. So
Scratch the shit out of my door.
yeah, fuck that shit up. So anyway, that was the experience thus far, and which is unfortunate because when mom and dad had these same people do their stuff, it was like the smoothest fucking ass, like just baby ass smooth from beginning to end, flawless. The order experience flawless. The guys that came up to install, dad very finicky with all of this shit. Dad was super impressed. It was like, this is fucking incredible. These guys are absolute pros. Did everything flawlessly, cleaned up. They even did the molding and shit around the window, which they don't technically do. Shit was just fucking banged up the whole way. Is incredible. We did not get that.
There you go, bro. There you go.
So it is what it is. Other than that, we continue to get some work done in the house. We have the handrail is going to for outside is going to arrive tomorrow, so we'll start looking at ways to install that. And all the outdoor patio stone work is done. Inside, we moved everything out of the way and got things set up so that we will be able to start laying floor as well. And we're going to lay the back half of the house and install the cabinets so that the cabinet guys can come in to measure for countertops, because it's going to be like fucking January or whatever until countertops are available. So we got to get this done as fast as possible so we're not using plywood for a countertop for like fucking 6 months. So we got that on the docket, and we've gotten to the point now where so much shit is done that unless we have the materials on hand, there's not really much to do with the house. Like, we're at that point. And so it's just kind of like hopefully as smoothly as possible, acquire all the materials that we can to get it done. And so far, so good, aside from, the small inconveniences. It's not like the fucking, if they come in, they fix the foam and shit, wouldn't be in the world. But when you spend that much money on a patio door.
You spend $2,500 on a door, you expect that you will be the one that'll scratch it, not somebody the day one as it's going into your newly renovated house to just see and every time. It's not like it's a door or like a basement door going out to like a side entrance of in a dungeon that you never use.
It's a feature. It's a feature door.
Yeah, it's your big ass patio door that you're gonna use all the fucking time, that everybody's gonna see, including yourself. And every time you go there, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck? Really?"
Yeah.
Like, at least let me scratch it. Fuck.
Well, exactly. And it's one of those places where nobody else would see it, but it's there.
Yeah. And
that's the problem. It's already like, I've already done so much work in this house that when I walk in the door, I see every like what I would consider to be it's not perfect. And I can see it. Nobody else is going to see that shit. Ever. But I will. It'll drive me fucking crazy.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. I'm the one walking through that door every day going, "Oh, you son of a bitch. Why'd you fuck that up?" But anyway, we'll get it done. We're still on track for getting for starting the move, the actual moving process towards the end of this month. We're still on track for that. The flooring will go in very smoothly. There's nothing stopping us there. And it will just be, how fast can we put IKEA cabinets together? It's kind of where we're at right now. So
spoiler
exciting
alert,
times.
It ain't gonna be that fast.
No, probably not. Well, like
that shit's nightmare fuel.
The way that it was described to us by one of the contractors that were at the house for something else at the time, I can't remember what it was installers love IKEA cabinets the second time they install them. So the first time is a nightmare, but after you've done it once, it's the fastest cabinet install by miles of everything that they do. So you just have to get over this. The problem is, we only have one set, so it's just going to be the shit time the one time. But, it can't be any worse than any of the other shit we've done in this household at this point.
I did pre-built from Kent, and that shit was legit the easiest. You had to put a door on each.
Oh, right.
Cabinet.
They ship them like prefabbed, and then you're just. Do they like IKEA uses a rail system? What is Kent's prefab? Do they hook onto the wall, or are you screwing it into the wall?
You screw it into the wall.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of like about IKEAs is that it's like a rail system, which is kind of nice.
You can get that if you want. Like you can buy that sort of stuff, but the way the cabinets are, like the way they're designed, you just need to know where the studs are on your wall, and
then hope that you have like conveniently placed studs for the
Yeah,
cabinets.
we did it. We did come across a couple of those issues where it was like it was an older build, and so it wasn't like to code, I guess, like standard. So you'd have like studs every 16, but then one you'd have on 24, and then like one you just wouldn't be there and whatnot. So yeah, that was interesting, but it was an easy fix because what we did is we just drill into the wall and just put like a stud on there, and you're never going to see it because the cabinets are there anyway. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's true. Like in our place, after all the walls we opened, I didn't trust a fucking stud in that entire fucking house. Downstairs in the basement, the ones that are already in there, the older ones that we kept and we just like painted to bring them up. They got screws on every fucking angle. They got shit like literally right through the corner of the cabinet trying to find studs. Shit's just in every fucking direction because they couldn't find a damn thing. And that's on an exterior wall. So I can't even imagine what it would have been like for us trying to find shit on an interior. So I just said, no, give me that rail system. Choo choo. Anyway, video game news, Mr. Black. You ready to talk about some video game news?
Sure.
Twitter lost one of the pillars. This means nothing to you, but it killed the podcast topic section on Discord this week. Twitter lost one of the pillars of the video game news. I guess if there was an industry for it on Twitter, this would be he'd be the top of the food chain. Nibel, the account known as Nibel, stepped away from the platform following an attempt to monetize their work via Patreon. The Patreon, I think, was just a month or two ago. It did not perform as well as they had hoped for the time that they had been invested. So this account is old. This is like a 10-year-old account. What is it? Mob Psycho, I think, is the anime that the profile picture comes from. It's just a plain yellow background, that one character, banner's the same thing, and all they've done on the side is like to the fucking second. I don't even know how this person pulled it off. To the second news for gaming for years and years and years and years. Basically, it was like an RSS feed. So like an RSS feed, scrape a bunch of websites, give you a fucking readout, okay? Yeah. Nibel was the greatest human-operated RSS feed for video game news to have ever fucking existed. He was probably half the reason I even used Twitter in the first place for the longest time, because it would mean that if there were like 5 different events and there are 20 different publications covering this shit, and not all of the publications got the news right, or they didn't, or they had some of the coverage, but not all the coverage. Nibel had the best, and no bias. He just posted the news. There was no opinion or anything. Stripped all the most salient and important information out and fucking put it in a thread for everything that ever fucking happened, basically, in the gaming industry that anyone would give a shit about. And did it for years. Had a huge following. And obviously lots of content creators, podcasters like us, game developers, everyone that followed the guy was rattled on that day. In fact, he trended on Twitter, had over 30,000 fucking tweets specifically about Nibel on the day that he left the platform. Just unfortunate that it went down that way. I didn't think that they were going to make a ton of money on Patreon because Twitter users are not used to being monetized in any way, shape, or form. And Twitter was their only real platform. They didn't invest a bunch of time in like trying to spin out YouTube or a live stream or anything like that. And so that was it. And so I didn't think it was going to make a ton of money. I did think that it was or hoped that it was going to make enough money to keep them going to justify the time sink to do all this work, because it was like a fucking full-time job basically. So anyway, they posted on their Patreon about it and mentioned the Patreon did relatively well at first, but then significantly dropped off after the first month, like tanked out really hard below the threshold that they had set for themselves, where they said this would be worth the investment of time to continue doing this after years of doing it. And then towards the end, Nibel also mentioned that they didn't have a lot of faith in the leadership at Twitter before for years. They've been here for 10 years, so they've seen it from Jack all the way through. And they didn't have any more faith that the new leadership was going to do any better, and so they didn't want to spend more time investing in the platform, if all of that time in the platform. So they decided to to shut it down and focus on other pursuits. There's a lot of people trying to figure out if he can get like a job at a publication or something, because clearly he's very good at his fucking job, or they're very good at their job. But they were just trying to do this, I think, as a side gig. So anyway, the long short of it is everyone was in shambles about trying to get like news sources or ways of getting news for podcasts and other publications, because it's difficult to do that now with so much on the internet. And Nibel just had the sauce every fucking time. If you knew that one Twitter account, you were basically fucking golden. So whatever Nibel gets out there and does, Godspeed. They kept the account open. So I'm praying for a fucking return in the future, but for now, yeah, the account has come to a close. A very old and very pivotal account for Twitter has shut the doors. Leading up to the sequel release, and lots of people are talking about this game today because the veil has been lifted for the embargo, so we're getting review scores for God of War Ragnarok. God of War 2018, so the one that came right before this, was announced to have topped 23 million units sold, which is a shitload of copies for a first-person, or a single-player game that's locked to a single console, or was for the longest time. Wait, did God of War make it to Steam? Was that one of the ones they ported to Steam yet?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Because Sony's done a couple, and I can't remember. I know Horizon is. I can't remember God of War is. Either way, the vast majority of that 23 million, whether or not it was on the PC, is on the PlayStation. PS4, has an install base of like 100 and something million units. And so, 1 in every 5, essentially, console owners of PS4 bought God of War. And that's an enormous attach rate for a game like that. It's not a multiplayer game or anything of that nature. It's just a single player fucking game. And that's big numbers. Ragnarok doing very well. The Metacritic scores seem to be tracking to be about the same as the last one, which is to say very good. The last one, I think, netted 94 overall. This seems to be doing just about the same numbers. And so, well done, Sony Santa Monica. You've done it again, you crazy bastards. Good luck doing it a third time, because I'm sure now the question is going to be, after these people probably take a well-earned vacation, is what the fuck do we do now? You imagine how much pressure it must be to have when you're a company that cranks out mostly exclusives for a single console, and you're known for putting out nothing but certified fucking bangers, but they're not like cheap bangers. They're not like an indie darling type shit. It's we just spent $300 million to make this game certified banger. Like, how much pressure is it to continue doing that for, like, I mean, they're going to be going on 15 years or some shit. I imagine Blizzard back in the day felt very similar in that regard, with like, oh my god, how do we keep the train going on this? Eventually it's going to happen where it doesn't, right? Where you put out that first just ass cheeks, doesn't hit right video game. Must be fucking incredibly stressful for them. But so far, flawless record out of Sony Santa Monica, as they continue to crush it. Did you ever play the 2018 God of War back when it came out? No? Did you play the older ones, like on the PlayStation?
I played
and
the
shit?
original, yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty good too, as it turns out.
They were fun.
Not bad. Fun. Although they were, I believe, the games that got us stuck with quick time event buttons for like the next half decade or some shit. I think they were the ones that really popularized the press X to do thing on screen, where you have like X amount of time to press like the certain button combination to do that shit, and then every godforsaken video game for like the next 5, 6, 7 years did the exact same shit, and everyone was fucking like I think everyone really packed it in. I can't remember what game it was. I think it might have been a horror game, or it might even been like a Doom game or something like that. But anyway, where in order to open like a bunch of different doors, you had to mash X or some shit, and people were like, no, stop the madness. Come on. Yeah. Nobody want. Just make me press it once. I don't want to mash buttons to open a fucking door. Sony announced the PS VR 2 launch date this week. In fact, I think it was just yesterday that they put that info out. You have the original PSVR, I believe.
I do.
The neck breaker, as we would like to call it.
I've been at my buddy's house for like 2 years at this point. He's just
lent that bitch out and been he's had it ever
never
since.
got it back. Yeah, just never got it back.
Well, you haven't any reason to use it, so I guess ultimately, I think the primary one was Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
That was the one that you marathoned and then gave yourself like a fucking aneurysm for like the next like three fucking days.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That shit is heavy. Like when I put it on at your place, that just the one night I put on, I was like, how did you wear this bitch for like 8 straight hours?
Yeah, it was like 10. It was 10.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Bro, I had to do like Brock Lesnar neck bridges.
Yeah.
Trying to fucking get ready for that.
Yeah. I mean, I had to take breaks and like fucking but the last hour was pain.
Torture?
It was legit pain.
Did you get like vertigo or anything after 10 hours in VR when you took it off finally and started walking around the house, or did the breaks help like
No, because I would take periodic breaks like every 20 minutes, half hour, take the head, because it would just be sore. Like my neck would just get so sore. And it got to the point where I would like when you're in the VR on the PlayStation anyway, you gotta almost always recalibrate. There's like a button that you can click so that like say if I'm sunk down in my seat more, instead of like my character or my view going down, you can hold a button and then it'll recalibrate for this, like it'll
your new position.
It'll center your new position. So like I remember the last like 2 hours, my neck was so sore that I had like those theater seats, and I laid it back so that like basically my head was.
You're like looking at the ceiling.
I was looking at the ceiling, but then I recalibrated as if I was looking at the ceiling, but I was actually straight ahead just so that I could finish the game. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Did that fuck with your head because you know that you were looking up, but in the game you were looking straight? Did that like kind of fuck you up?
It did for a bit, but you just kind of get used to it. It's kind of hard to explain.
But you didn't get any headaches or anything other than from the neck pain. Yeah. So the price of this bad boy, it ain't cheap, Mr. Black. Jim Ryan's coming for your pocketbook. It's coming out at $549.
I won't be buying it.
Well, I mean, like, for a VR headset, if you go all the way on like a Vive, like the newest version of Vive or whatever, it's probably like $1,500 fucking dollars or some shit. It's also substantially better.
Oh, I've got the new Rift, so it wasn't cheap.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, I think even at $549, they're selling this bitch at a loss. Like, it's got to be. And I still don't really understand why Sony is putting so much money into this VR shit. I mean, I would like to know. I don't know if there are numbers for it, but I'd love to know how many of the old headset they actually sold, and then how much software they actually sold per headset.
Yeah, but have you seen some of this VR shit that they have in Unreal 5? It looks fucking.
Oh, Unreal 5 will be crazy.
It actually looks nuts. Like, you get Unreal 5. You remember, like, imagine Silent Hill, right? Like the new new Silent Hill and Unreal 5 engine in VR. Like, oh my god, bro, it's gonna feel like you're actually there.
The biggest thumbs up will be, can you wear it without having a neck spasm?
I hope so. Like, I hope they can get it to the point where it's almost just like wearing goggles and not necessarily these big fucking bulky ass things. It's gonna have to get there. Like, the technology will eventually get there. I just don't know if we're gonna see it. We're not gonna probably see it on this generation of VR, but maybe on the next one. Who knows?
But yes, it's $549 US for the headset. Comes with the headphones and the two hand controllers. But yeah, so Godspeed. If anyone ends up picking that bad boy up, let us know how it goes. It doesn't launch, however, until February 22nd, 2023. But let us know. Pre-orders start up on November 15th. If you're looking for an early Christmas present for yourself to receive in the future. And yeah, most of the games they announced for it are kind of just like ports from the PSVR 1 onto the PSVR 2. And I think if you own the PSVR 1 copies, you get a free upgrade to the PSVR 2. So if you buy it and you are already in the ecosystem with the previous headset and you have some games, you'll at least have something to fucking play with when you first get it. Which is, I guess, better than nothing. But $549 is fucking steep because that shit's nearly the cost of the console. And that's tough. That's tough. We'll see how it sells, though. I'm sure we'll get some numbers and be able to talk about that. Not that anyone didn't already know, Mr. Black, but Phil Spencer actually admitted, finally, publicly, that the Xbox has gone too long without a strong first-party release. Which is to say that nobody considers Halo Infinite to be a strong first-party release. This came up in a discussion. I can't remember what it was for, the interview or whatever it was for now off the top of my head. But yeah, I discussed it, said, look, we get it. You know, the Xbox just hasn't had any first-party titles in like nearly basically 2 years. It's been a lot of third-party stuff. We're happy with how things are going in general, but clearly we're lacking in first-party titles for the console, which I suspect is also an attributing factor to the slower growth in Game Pass on the console side. We talked about last week how the growth is still happening on the console side, but it's slowed down substantially, partially due to hitting saturation for the number of units that are already sold for the console, but I also suspect strongly that it is tied to the fact that there's not a hell of a lot of strong first-party titles or exclusives on the Xbox console itself to help drive that number up even further. And despite the fact that it is growing, they have missed their targets twice now with Game Pass, new Game Pass subscriptions. So I think the pressure is really going to be on here in the next year. He did say, however, unsurprisingly, as I have here in my notes, that next year is going to be substantially better, which I think the whole of the gaming industry next year is going to be a pop-off because we're coming out of the COVID lag, the back catalog. Yeah. And a lot of stuff has gotten pushed into 2023. And so if everything holds their date, 2023 is going to be like a 1998 or like a 2003, 2004 of just like avalanche.
Don't get that optimistic.
Well, I don't mean in terms of them all being good. I just mean in terms of like how many like AAA games are out in the year. Like the odds of it being all as good as the games that came out in like 98, basically zero. But you know, a man can dream. But yeah, 2023, clearly lots of games coming in 2023. And Phil is confident that a couple of the Xbox ones, of course, are going to do relatively well for them, or at least better than not having any at all, which is a good place to start. Microsoft moved the marker a little bit on the Call of Duty conversation. So before, they were saying, well, we're going to keep Call of Duty. If this deal goes through, we're going to keep Call of Duty on the PlayStation for another 2, 3, 4, whatever titles, 5 to 7 years worth of Call of Duty or whatnot on the PlayStation before we would make any decisions beyond that. They've changed their tune a little bit, moved that a little bit. Now they're saying as long as there is a PlayStation to sell Call of Duty on, we will be putting Call of Duty on PlayStation. Now, that could be open for interpretation, of course. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen on day one. It doesn't mean that they're going to get all of the same content. It doesn't mean that, the whole ways, that's a very wide open statement to say Call of Duty, we will continue to put Call of Duty on the PlayStation. However, if we were going to say that this is in good faith, what they mean is literally they're going to continue to sell these things on PlayStation, which would be wise because the PlayStation is outselling their console, and it is the primary place that Call of Duty is played at this point. It's more than PC. It's more than Xbox. PlayStation is the place where Call of Duty is played the most. And so, hold on. You want to do me a favor, Mr. Black, and just come up with something to talk about for 2 seconds? I got a phone call here out of nowhere.
All right. Patreon.com/LegTV. Head on over there. All right. Throw all of the monies at the screen. Okay. Make it happen. Keep the podcast alive. Keep it going. If you guys can't afford to show some extra support, perhaps you can get NordVPN. Guys, stay safe. Stay anonymous. When you're on... He sells out, bro. I was waiting for somebody to call me out on it. Listen, man, sometimes you gotta sell out. Patreon.com/LegTV. NordVPN.com/LagTV. NordVPN. Guys, get a 2-year subscription with a massive discount when you use the promo code OTT. That's right. Okay, guys? You know what a virtual private network is? It's basically a private network that is done virtually, okay? Hence the virtual private network, where you can mask your IP to a different region, country, whatever, wherever, so that you can access different parts of the internet. So, for example, if you're watching YouTube and it's saying this content is not available in your region, and say you're in Canada, you can use NordVPN at the click of a button. You can mask your IP to the United States, all right? And then
you did not dump into a sales pitch.
Yeah, I'm going, bro. I'm going. This is our ad break. I'm just going right into it.
All right, do it.
So you can mask your IP so that then you can watch that specific content. Not only that, guys, NordVPN will make sure that you are safe and anonymous so that there is no funny business when it comes to predators coming after your information. If you're out in public Wi-Fi, you're traveling, you're at a friend's house. Say you just don't trust Adam all that much and you're hanging out at his crib, use NordVPN. Use NordVPN. And you can use it on your smartphone, your laptop, your Mac, your PC. We're talking your desktop. We're talking your iPad, smart TV. They've got an app virtually for everything. Guys, it's one click of a button. You do not have to be a programmer. You don't have to figure out all these different codes and different things. It is quite literally, I want to mask my IP to be in Ohio. Okay, click. For
whatever reason you want to be in Ohio.
I want my IP to be in Turkey. I want it to be in wherever, okay? You can do that at the click of a button, and with up to 6 simultaneous devices, you only need 1 account per household. Guys, promo code OTT. That is NordVPN.com/OTT. Use that promo code OTT, get a massive discount, 4 bonus months, you support the sponsor, you support the podcast, and you support yourself. Head on over there right now and make it happen.
How did you go from Ohio? Your brain went from Ohio to Turkey.
Been there, man.
It's impressive.
Thank you.
It's impressive. Where was I? Call of Duty, right? I was talking about Call of Duty.
Yeah,
that was me getting a call that my car is done and ready for pickup. It had everything done. Yeah, right. PlayStation, where they sell the most whatever the fuck, yeah, all that nonsense. So it makes sense to me that Microsoft would keep Call of Duty on that console even in the long term, because ultimately I don't think personally that, let's say they locked Call of Duty up behind Game Pass and locked it up behind Xbox and PC only, that they would recuperate enough people buying into the other ecosystems to make up for something like 100 million fucking people that own a PlayStation console. And that's where that number of PS5s is going. That's where this is. PS4 did it. PS5 is probably going to hit 80, 90, 100 mil. You're not going to get an offset of let's say, if it was a 1 in 5, 25 million people aren't going to jump ship from PlayStation to buy an Xbox or build a PC just for Call of Duty. That ain't gonna happen. You might be able to get 20%, maybe.
Yeah.
And why do that when you can just fucking keep it over? You're getting all the money anyway.
You're getting all of the monies.
Just leave it there. So yeah, they're changing their tune a little bit. I think this is a little bit of change of language so that they can help get this thing moving a little faster, etc., etc. But yeah, I think it would be wise for them to continue to just leave it where it is. This is, however, and to put an underscore on this is an enormous launch for Call of Duty. So in the first 24 hours or so on Steam alone, so this has nothing to do with PlayStation or any other platforms, 240,000 concurrent players it hit in the first 24 hours or so. Or 72 hours, sorry. That's enormous! 240,000 people concurrent just on Steam alone. It also, in the first 72 hours, hit $800 million in sales.
Damn.
In 72 hours.
Damn.
That's more than, I should say, 1.5 Star Citizens.
Damn.
In 72 hours. All of that, Mr. Black, at a $70 price tag. That newfangled $70 price tag. So you know exactly where gaming is going. If Call of Duty cranks out 800 mil on a $70 price tag.
That's it.
240,000 concurrent players.
That's it. $69.99 US.
US.
So, you know, we're looking at about what, $89.99. We're looking at $100 for a game.
Yeah.
And this will be the norm. You know,
it's the new floor.
Oh yeah, what Call of Duty just said is a standard now. This is like, hey, $100. Deal with it. And dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, within 5 years. 5 years. Video games going to be $119.99 within 5 years. I think what's going to happen is in Canada, we're going to go to the 109. That's where it's going to go. When we surpass,
bro, when we go that 90, when you break that 99.99 barrier,
we're breaking it in 5 years. 100%.
Woo! We're going back to the Super Nintendo?
100%.
119 for the Super Nintendo cartridges?
$119.99. That's where it's going. That's where it's going.
Shit. That's going to suck balls. Right now, you know what? All of our Australian viewers are going, 5 years.
We're already there.
We've been there for 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Big money for sure. Oh, this is not in my notes, but it just came to mind. Sega announced a god tier plan, Mr. Black. You ready to hear this? This is some seriously giga brain 500 IQ business decisions. You ready for this? Sega came out and said, guys, we got an idea. I'm not joking. I'm kind of saucing it up a little bit, but I'm not, there's no hyperbole to what I'm about to say. Guys, I got a crazy idea. You can't wait to hear it, trust me. This is Sega speaking right now. We got a project coming up. Big money, all right? We're aiming 600 mil in sales. So not quite a Call of Duty, but 600 mil. It's a lot for a Sega title.
For what game?
Don't ask me these questions. We don't have the answers to that yet. It's just a game. It's a nebulous game. It's Project Win. All right? Let's call it Project Win. 600 mil. You know how we're going to make that worth $600 million? We're going to make a good game and sell it. That's it. That was the press release. That's the short form version. They used a few more words to get there, but the reality is they said, we're going to make a good video game, and that's going to sell for $600 million.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So my original response to that, I retweeted, I said, guys, I've got a great idea for a movie. It's going to make $600 million. All we got to do is make a good-ass fucking movie.
Just got to make a good movie, man. It's going to make $600 million, no problem. Come on.
Easy!
Easy, man. Don't worry about it.
Why is everyone so uptight and shit? Just make a good game. Sell it for 600 mil. Easy peasy.
They need to stick to making fucking movies. That's what they need to stick to. They need
really,
the Sonic train. That's about it. I think they're high on their own fucking product right now.
They need to get pulled out of the depths on that one even. So I mean, I don't even like they didn't start well on that one. Sonic with his crazy ass feet and shit, weird ass character models and whatnot. I mean, yeah, they're on some shit over there for sure. I think they need some sleep. Might help. But yeah, incredible strategy. I love it. Show me more, Sega. Data miners have managed to dig up an upcoming Elden Ring DLC that looks to include a new dungeon and several new bosses. The current guess, and it makes sense to me, is that we're going to get an announcement about all this stuff coming up at the Game Awards, which will happen in the next month or so. Usually that's in December, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's different this year, I don't know. But either way, that sounds about right to me. An announcement at Game Awards. Lots of Elden Ring stuff has been first announced at Jeff Keighley-related events. Wouldn't shock me if this was another one. Elden Ring is kind of like ready for its first DLC. It's been, several months. People are probably just about ready for it. Holiday season coming up. Bada bing, bada boom, Elden Ring. 2 thumbs up. After a series of cryptic tweets, Mr. Black, this is my favorite news of the week. After a series of cryptic tweets, one of which I personally managed to figure out walking around in my living room upstairs, this very house, saw the tweet. I looked at it for about 30 seconds and said, wait a minute. I ran some quick math. 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1, that's 3. Quick math. And I figured it out. This is Cyan tweeting this, the makers of Myst and Riven and the upcoming Firmament. I put the numbers in, and I said, what if these are milliseconds? This number. So I put it, and I did a calculation for milliseconds into hours, into days, into years. And it was nearly 25 years to the day when they posted it. It was like a couple hours away, one way or the other. And I said, wait! You know what came out 25 years ago, Mr. Black? Riven came out 25 years ago. As of October 31st. Which was the date that number spat out if you convert it to milliseconds. And so I said, it smells an awful lot like Riven in here. And lo and behold, Monday, October 31st, Cyan announced a complete rebuild of Riven in Unreal Engine 5 from the ground up. They said, we finally got the people, we finally got the money. We wanted to wait until we could do it, justice, because it's probably our most heralded fucking game. Like, everyone knows Myst, but Riven is like their most critically acclaimed and appreciated game of the entire series. We wanted to be able to do it right. We finally got there. We still got everyone here. Got some new blood. We got the funds. We can make it happen. We've already been sort of working on it for 2 years. I said, what? Give it to me! And so, speaking of the PSVR 2, remember the one game I said, if it ever came out, that would probably sell me on VR? Is a remake of Riven.
There you go.
Now, whether or not they do it for VR, they gave out very little info, but one of the things they said is that it's full 3D walking around. Doesn't have to be point and click. They might add point and click, but they are rebuilding everything walking around, and they're definitely, I mean, it's expensive for a small team to try and do all of it, but if it isn't on launch day, you better believe their other stuff has been converted to VR. So it's coming. Bro, Riven VR in Unreal 5, tactily doing puzzles and shit. Ah! I want it. I just hope they don't fuck it up. That's it. This is dangerous. And I bet you they're all sweating fucking bullets right now. They're sweating. They also have Firmament coming, which is also VR. That's coming out early next year. I'm looking forward to playing that. But yeah, there you go. So Riven Remake. Big money. Oh no, if this is coming out on PC, I'm going to sell everything I own. I'm going to buy the most expensive VR. I'm going to put it in a room that's way too fucking small and awkward for it to work even remotely properly. I'm going to fucking play it in that room. I'll probably accidentally put my foot through the TV, trying to do some shit, but it will all be worth it. It'll all be worth it. An interesting question, Mr. Black, I wanted to pose to you after I saw it coming out of thegamer.com that I thought would be fun to ask. With so many remakes of games going on, it's of course evident that they tend to be very good games of their time, right? It's a successful game. It's a previously known quantity. It's a game that we figure somebody would probably buy again if we remade it. All those millennials. So the question is this, though. What if, if you had to ignore to a degree, because it obviously comes into the conversation, ignore to a degree the risk factor of going this route for any individual game company. What if instead of remaking games that were or are already very good, because most of these are like certified bangers that they're remaking, what if we remade games that were close to being good or great? So were good, but weren't like Final Fantasy VII, for example. What if we remade those so that they could be brought back and elevated from good to great status instead? So the games that you played that you back in the day, you were like, this is a good game. But damn it, it's so close to being even better. What if those are the games that we should be spending time bringing back and remaking instead of just redoing stuff that's already fucking 10 out of 10 fire? What do you think about that as an idea? Here's a couple of examples. I'm sure you could think of other games, but some examples I saw people bring up. Alpha Protocol, Time Shift, Two Worlds is a big one. That was like supposed to be Oblivion Killer, and it was like just on the edge of possibly being another Elder Scrolls title. It was probably the closest thing that anyone's ever got to being a Bethesda quality open world adventure game. Brink was another good example. Enslaved Odyssey to the West was another example back in the day. I'm sure you could probably think of a couple of others that you've played in your lifetime and went, man. So what do you think of that concept? Stuff that probably sold okay. Was it good but not great? What do you think about maybe focusing on going that instead of just redoing the bangers?
You want my honest opinion?
I feel like I probably know what the opinion is, but yes, hit me with the truth, Mr. Black.
I don't think they should be remaking anything.
Fair.
I think the remaking shit is starting to turn into the whole remaking of movie shit. And let's be real, there is very few movies that has ever been remade.
That's been a good idea.
That has been a good idea. Or that has really worked. I can maybe think of 3 movies.
Definitely wasn't Ghostbusters.
No. I can think of like 3 movies that
Which ones hit your list of was worth the time?
Evil Dead was really good. They did a good job with that remake. I actually think they did a good job with RoboCop. I know that's I
think that was perfectly. I mean, RoboCop's like a tough one to tackle because it's like a fucking 80s action classic. But I think they did a pretty good job of updating it. What about Dredd?
Ooh, Dredd was good too. That's a good one.
I think Dredd was legitimately significantly better than the original.
I actually, yes, I fully agree. I fully agree with that. And Dredd was good. I mean, I'm sure there are others.
Mad Max? What do you think about Mad Max as a choice? I think Mad Max was a visual masterpiece, but otherwise was mid as fuck.
Yeah, I didn't love it as much as other people did. I'm gonna be honest. But I just think we're getting a little bit too crazy with remakes. And I also think they should spend less time trying to make money off the past to kind of like take shortcuts and play with nostalgia and get good and make new video games. I'm not even against bringing old IPs back to life, but creating new games based on that IP, not regurgitating remakes that half of the community will despise and talk shit and hate on, and then the other half is just like, man, whatever. I don't know.
Tron? I'm just sitting here thinking of movies.
I didn't even see the original. I don't know.
You don't.
You know, guy, listen. I know that the Resident Evil 2 remake was amazing.
But so was Resident Evil 2.
So was Resident Evil 2. Exactly. There are remakes to games that have happened that have been good and not a complete letdown. But there's been so many that have been just bad. Just
Resident
bad
Evil 3.
Imports, bad. Just really, really bad and just playing on nostalgia. So, you know, my hot take is
move on.
I prefer look at behind me. There is so much rich old quality video games there. Yes, a lot of it, pretty much all of it, probably doesn't hold up today like it did back then. There are some games that do, but for the most part, they're dated. In theory, they could be better. But that's the beautiful thing about these games. When these games were printed, there was no DLC downloads to fix. There was no patches. I mean, you got the game, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, if there was like groundbreaking fucking game mechanics, that was what you got. That was pretty much what you got. And there is something endearing about that. And there's something a video game experience doesn't need to be perfect. Just like how a movie doesn't need to be perfect. So you watch some of the best movies in the world, and you're going to see continuity issues. You're going to have pacing issues. You're going to have maybe scripting issues at certain parts of the film, but it doesn't take away from the full, unless it's like very, very obvious and just like, whoa. But for the most part, that's part of the magic. We're searching too much for perfection, and I think a lot of these games are being recreated for the promise that you're going to get what you used to get, but it's just going to be better. And no, I've been there, done that. Let it die. Let those games, rest in peace. Let the soul, when somebody dies, you don't go and dig up their grave and take them out of a box and then inject them with some sort of new serum that can bring them back to life. And
Jekyll and Hyde over here.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Frankenstein.
You pay your respects. You go there, you pay your respects, and you don't forget the memories, the good, bad, and indifferent. But you don't go there and try to bring it back to life, or you don't try and then replace that individual that's in the grave with another person and try and turn them into a better version of that. I don't know where I'm going with this, man. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, let it die. Let it go. Some of these games are incredible, Resident Evil 2 included. We don't need a remake. I'm not complaining that we got it because it was good, but if it didn't exist, my life doesn't change. I don't think to myself, it doesn't diminish how awesome the original was. And if I'm ever gonna replay Resident Evil 2, it is not gonna be the new version. I'm gonna go back and play the old version. No matter how good the new version is, that's me. Let it go. No.
If that's your take, I've got fucking phenomenal news for you, Mr. Black. You ready? Remember last week we talked about the trademark for symbiogenesis from Square Enix, and how everyone was like, "Holy shit, are we getting are we actually going to get a Parasite Eve remake?" No, we're not, because the symbiogenesis thing was announced today. Mr. Black, Square Enix came out and put their micro dick on the table, and they said, "Hey guys, here's symbiogenesis. It is described by Square Enix as its first digital collectible art project designed from the ground up for Web3 fans," which is a really long-winded way of saying we built an NFT game. And that it's a self-contained world where a wide cast of characters, symbiosis, I don't even know what that's supposed to necessarily mean, all of which could be collected as digital art.
Oh, bro. No, no.
They promise to offer an interactive story and dedicated community. Am I selling you on it yet?
No, I'm already checked out.
Square Enix.
Last thing before we move on. I really, truly don't believe that anyone making these remakes, Square Enix included, for this Final Fantasy VII shit that's just being that will be on, that'll be going for the next decade, assuming it even ever finishes. I don't think any of them are out to create a better experience for anybody. I think they're just out there to make money and bank off nostalgia. I really don't. I think they don't go in there saying, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna fucking ruin this." I think they go in with good intentions.
Yes.
But I don't think they're losing any sleep over a game that is mediocre. I just think they just want to make money, and that's fine. I mean, you're going to want to make money. But try doing it not off the backs of games that we loved and that we do love. Try creating something new and exciting. I mean, dude, we're already remaking games that were made 7 years ago.
Yeah, the Last of Us thing is a little fucking weird to me.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah. It's not even a classic yet.
It's already been remade before. Like they already did an updated version of it before.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? We're gonna restart Uncharted as well. Like, you're gonna
don't give them ideas.
But that's where we're going, man. It ain't for me.
It's true. Last little thing here. An absolute Chad ascended, Mr. Black, NASCAR driver Ross Chastain sets a fastest lap record using the bullshit trick we all used in games for years. And that is to say, just hammer the fucking gas and run that bitch along the side of the outside wall. And he did it.
That shit was pretty epic, man. I'm not gonna lie.
He fucking pulled it off.
It was pretty epic.
He pulled off, and then he's dead ass says in the post race interview, he said, "I did that shit in the GameCube NASCAR 2005. I didn't think it would actually work, but here we are." Yeah. What a complete god. Now, on the other hand, that could have gone so very fucking bad.
He could have killed himself, others,
other people.
I mean, it could have been very bad, and he actually hit somebody too. From behind,
at the very end, he just nicked them because he came out of the corner so fast.
The people that were like racing beside him were probably like, "What in the actual fuck?" Like, can you imagine? You're on your final lap and you never see this shit, and there's a dude slammed into a wall going like fucking 250 miles an hour, just flying around a fucking corner, so that he can continue to keep the momentum going while you have to slow down to turn.
Chad status, bro.
Bro, that shit was like, that was epic. I'm not gonna lie.
All right,
and I guarantee you, there'll be rules now where you can't do that. Like they've got that for sure.
It's too dangerous
because people will just start doing that shit, and it's gonna be, you're gonna end up killing somebody.
But hey, you know what? I'm happy that if somebody did it, and it only was gonna happen once, I'm happy that it actually worked as intended.
That was pretty dope. That was pretty dope.
It would have sucked if it didn't work.
Yeah, and he got in. He like went up 5 spots, which qualified him to like make it to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
The next round.
God, the radio was like, "Holy shit, you did it! You pull it off!" It was like, "What did I just? What the fuck did I just watch?"
He got out of the car and everybody went nuts. It's like, oh man, that guy got his dick sucked that night. Like, I mean, holy shit, man, he was on cloud 9.
Yeah, that guy, was one.
He made NASCAR fucking cool for about 30 seconds, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight up. Like the whole world was like, damn, NASCAR is like this?
Like, I'd watch more NASCAR if it was like that.
No, it ain't. It ain't like that at all. Just this one guy made it fucking epic as shit. That was pretty dope.
So you only have some short time. I only have about 8 minutes. I have to go pick up my car before the place closes. And so we're going to speed. You already did the ads, which is great.
I already did it, man. It's already done.
We're right into what then, Mr. Black?
Movies and TV.
In a sort of, I suppose, not entirely surprising bit of news, Henry Cavill announced that he will not be returning to The Witcher for Season 4, at which point Liam Hemsworth, the lesser of the Hemsworths, was announced to be his replacement, which he had, listen, it's not... there's all sorts of, like, rumors floating around. Henry's already put out his well-worded, courteous fucking statement about the whole thing. Here's my take on it. Some people are like, oh, it's because he's Superman again. No! He said something very specific when they started The Witcher. He said, I am in. I will do every single season of this bitch so long as we stay true to the source material. And the first fucking rule that the showrunners broke was fighting him season 1, season 2, season 3 on staying true to the source material, and got further and further away. And I think as soon as Superman came up, he said, not only are you breaking these rules, but I gotta go be Superman again. So fuck off.
Yeah, I think it has everything to do with Superman, but it's also has everything to do with what you said.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got Henry Cavill back. We talked about that last podcast.
Yes, the same agent.
His ex-wife is both their managers. Yeah. So he got them back. The old heads at Warner Brothers are gone. The new ones are in. They're getting on this Dwayne train. And Henry Cavill has been very vocal for years about him wanting to return to Superman. He's been trying to do it, but they just did not want him in the role. And apparently Henry Cavill can be tough to work with as well. Don't know how true that is, but apparently the guy allegedly he can be a tough guy to deal with, like a lot of movie stars and TV show stars and whatever.
I can't imagine he's any worse than like the average fucking movie star to work with.
Who knows, right? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
I think what happened is he was already dissatisfied with where the show was going. But, it's his biggest role. Like, he hasn't been Superman for a long time. It was in limbo for a long time. He's been in movies. He's not really much of a box office draw, like, believe it or not, like, unless he is Superman. And even that wasn't, a massive glowing success. but he is beloved in both the Superman and, of course, The Witcher. Now, The Witcher is a full-blown fucking home run for him. That shit's a big hit. It's massive. He's well known for it, and he loves the source material, and it's a match made in heaven, 100%. But when you are offered the bag and a half to be now a movie star again, and you're going to be one of the main faces of the DCEU, and all the fans have been begging for Henry Cavill to come back. He is the best Superman there ever was. And for him to be able to come back to this role, what a perfect exit to leave The Witcher, bring up the fact that the source material is not what it used to be, so he's got a nice built-in excuse. And then, yeah, he's upsetting the Witcher fans, but if he says that, hey, it's the source material that I agreed upon and now it's different, I'm doing you guys a favor by not participating in this madness. And in such, those Witcher fans can give him the pass, even though they would love to see him go there. He's not sort of cutting off. He's not biting the hand that feeds him. He's got a legit reason, and now he can go be a movie star. And, hopefully those people will go and support him as Superman and show up at the box office so they can continue to do it. Not only that, what I think will happen, and I'm predicting it, is he's going to do well as Superman. Superman will do marginally well. It'll do fine. But I believe that he will return in The Witcher, but long down the road. I think they're going to run this bitch with the fucking budget Hemsworth, and they're gonna change the source material. They're gonna do all this other stuff, and they're gonna run with this idea, whatever they plan on doing. And the show will probably still be decent. It's gonna lose a lot of fan base. It's gonna lose a lot of steam. But I think in like 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, whatever years it's gonna take, that when The Witcher is over and it's done, he'll come back and they'll reboot this thing. And they'll pick up where they left off as the real Witcher, the source material, and they'll bring him back. I'm calling it out.
That's a bold claim, Mr. Black.
I'm calling it out. It's gonna take a long time. He'll be back.
Here's my theory.
Or here it is. Last theory before you go.
Okay.
Last theory. Or he becomes the voice in the video games. And they bring him through on the video game side.
Because the guy that's already doing the voice, that's tough. Okay.
He's coming back one way or another. I don't know how, but he's coming back.
Here's my prediction. The closest thing that we're going to get to him reprising his role as Geralt of Rivia is in a Netflix anime of The Witcher.
That's possible.
I think the mainline Witcher shit that he's leaving right now, budget Hemsworth, dollar store, Walmart value, Costco food samples Hemsworth, is going to go into this with all good intentions, look like a 5-year-old dressed up as...
Oh, he better get on the juice ASAP. He better be juicing as we speak. He better have a needle in each cheek. And
he's got a baby face. How in the shit are you going to look like Geralt of Rivia with a baby face? It's just not going to happen.
What I hope happens, dude, and this might happen. They might retire the main character. There's all kinds of Witchers. He might go at the end of this next season. And Liam Hemsworth might actually be a different Witcher. And he can play this character. And then when fucking Henry Cavill comes back, he can reprise his role.
So are they gonna do a Final Fantasy 15 here, Mr. Black, where Gladiolus and Prompto and Ignis all individually walk up to the main character and say, "Hey, so I've got a thing that I've got to go do. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I'll be back. It'll be paid DLC when I return, but I'm just gonna dip." I'll be right back. So yeah, Henry Cavill is going to dip to go do a side quest. Then we're going to have
a side quest, bro. It's going to be.
Then we have Giant Tiger Liam Hemsworth. Giant Tiger Hemsworth,
dude.
It's going to be a different Witcher, and then Geralt comes back from his side quest.
Yes. Yes.
and continues.
Yes. I
Okay.
think that's what
I accept that.
I think that's what's going to happen. It's either going to be a side quest or he's going to look like he dies. And it'll change the whole story.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like he dies, but he's not actually dead. And then 5 years down the road, 7 years, The Witcher might be done. Like it might not last more seasons with Liam. But if it does, say it goes on for another 3 years, and the show ends, I'm telling you, man, there's going to be a reboot for The Witcher, and he's coming back. And you never know. If Liam actually does a good job, which he might end up doing a great job. Obviously, they know something that we don't know. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have auditioned for this role.
That he was cheaper than Henry?
He's definitely cheaper than Henry. But you never know. They might build him up. He could be a different Witcher, and then Henry comes back. And maybe
I would be willing to accept that, but I don't think they're that fucking smart. I think they're just going to put Liam Hemsworth in.
Oh, bro,
he's going to be mid as fuck. He's going to look like a 5-year-old dressed up on Halloween playing fucking Geralt of Rivia. They're going to try and make the show work. Maybe it happens for 2 more seasons. This season, kind of like 4 and 5. And then the 5th season, they're like, nah, because nobody's watching it anymore. The view time will be like probably cut in half or less. With Liam steps in. You can't do 3 seasons with we're talking, the only role that I can think of just immediately off the top of my head that is a more perfect fit is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I can't think of anyone else, given how much Henry Cavill knows the books, like memorized, the games, everything, and is so in love with this character and actually looks like Geralt of Rivia.
Yeah, bro. He's got that Warner Brother money now, man.
It's everything.
He's Superman now, bro. He's Superman. He's got the green light. He's going to get his own movie. He's going to be in all these other movies. He's going to be a movie star again. And as an actor, what do you you're going to sit and play the fucking Witcher and make what, a few $1 million a season? Fuck that. You go play Superman, make, 10, 15, 20 million plus have, back pay. You're going to make way more. And who only knows? And there's also rumor that he might even be coming back for Mission Impossible, or there might be some sort of spin-off for his character. I don't know, man. I personally think he is better than The Witcher in terms of opportunity, but I also know it's a passion project and he loves it, which makes him perfect for it. I'd just love to see him
he's
go back.
already got a bunch of money. So like if he wants passion projects, he's got the money now. If he wants to paint Warhammer 40K figurines and do Witcher for the rest of his life, he could easily do that shit and not give a fuck.
But also, when you're making seasons of stuff, like the filming is long. If they got to do movies, man, they're on a strict schedule. That when you're talking Marvel, DC, They gotta film at certain times, no matter what, to fill certain things, to have certain release dates. It's all gonna fit together in this big, long storytelling of multiple movies. He had to make a tough decision, and he had a good out because they're starting to move away from the source material, and I can't blame him. I guarantee you, if he never got Superman back, this would have never happened. He would have just kept, trucking along until the next big thing happened. But it did, so bye,
Here
Henry.
we are. And goodbye, Technical Alpha. We'll be answering your questions next week. I'm going to be late to try and get to this fucking service station before this car is no longer retrievable for another day. And Mr. Black has got a meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for Technical Alpha this week. Just copy paste your questions. Tech support from this week to next week, and we'll get back to those questions in the next week. Just an awkward day all around. I was expecting this car to be done earlier in the day, but it was not. And so, got to bounce. Until next week, guys, stay safe, have a good one, and peace!
Peace.